Hello, everyone. Justin again. Figured maybe I'll record episode 2. In case nobody knows where I'm at least recording. I'm at the convention center. So a little bit of background for me is that I was raised Jehovah's Witness. My childhood was pretty normal for the most part. I'll go to school, get good grades, all that. Other than maybe the being raised Jehovah's Witness part, but had friends, so on and so forth. And then I experienced my parents getting divorced when I was 12. Then I started becoming rebellious and acting out and having issues. Grades starting to drop, so on and so forth. And then when I was 16, my dad died and went into a Great Depression, got entitled, self-centered. I became even more rebellious. Left my mom's house at 17 and then kind of couch surfed, got jobs when I could. Bounced around until about 2 weeks before I turned 21, and that was when I first became homeless. What I did when I first became homeless was I had one or two friends, but I kind of kept my head down and just watched how the streets operated. I think the first time I was homeless possibly the longest. It was the first time or the second time. But this time I'm homeless because, I got with somebody. I'm not going to go into detail, but we're having relationship issues. Due to mental states, because of I guess you could say a life crisis, but we're gonna just leave it to that. And I was kicked out, so here I am back on the streets. Trying to survive, trying to stay out of trouble. When I was 20, God, how old was I? Well, when I was 21, I met a girl, got with her, so on and so forth. When I was 22, I married her, and when I was 23, I had a son. Neither of us have him. We're going to just kind of leave it at that for now. But after losing my son and my ex-wife and me getting divorced, by that time, I got on drugs. I only did one drug. I did it for 9 months. I didn't use it every day. I used it only once or twice a month. And then after the 9 months, it was a coping mechanism to deal with my son and my ex-wife. And after the 9 months, I got past it. I healed from it, and I got clean. I've been clean for 7.5 years now. Don't get me wrong, you have days, it's more of a struggle. Especially being in the environment that has it. But you got to keep trying to push forward. You got to remember why you got clean. You got to remember, that that's not the answer, and that, if you go back to that, it's not going to be beneficial for your life or your future. So I have 7 years under my belt with no relapses. And being out here, trying to survive, I work. I'm very careful on how many people I hang out with and who, and for how long, to a degree. I'm trying to do things differently this time, being out here, so I can have a different outcome. But yeah, doing it this way is a lot, in some aspects, a lot harder, because I'm sitting by myself. It becomes very lonely. And then I have mental disorders. I've had mental disorders since I was young. And they're not as severe as some people out here, but it's in the past has held me back, and I learn every day to cope and deal with it to the best I can. Some days are better than others, but yeah, with me limiting who I hang out with, how long, so on and so forth, it can get pretty lonely. Then you struggle with depression and sometimes anxiety and different things. But even though one thing I keep looking at is, even though I've had, to a degree, a difficult past, that doesn't mean I'm going to have a difficult future. I just got to do something different. Even though I've been homeless before, yes, sometimes you can't help it, but the thing is even though you might be homeless again, to possibly have a different outcome, you have to do your daily life while you're out here differently than you did before. And I'm finally doing that, and it's difficult. People try to come up, want to talk to you, try to see if they could get stuff from you. It ranges. Some people do have good intentions, but some people have bad. So you just got to be careful and keep your head up. But I wanted to give a little bit about my backstory and, help people understand. So that's one of the things. And there are people out here, Don't get me wrong, there are the people that may have gotten homeless doing drugs, but genuinely, it's honestly a lot of the time, when people become homeless, it's due to a loss of job, or relationship issues, or a life crisis. That's how generally, or can't pay rent. It's usually one of those things that cause people to initially be homeless. But what sometimes keeps people homeless is they do get into the drugs, they do get into the drama, they do get into the violence, they do, depending on what you experience on the streets, you can get mental disorders, and then that can keep you out here. I myself have developed some mental disorders being homeless and being around the people I've been around. So, it really just depends. But then that's also where motivation, determination, hope, different things like that help you either not be homeless, or, in my circumstance, I get off the streets for a time period, but then, stuff don't fall into place, and then I'm back out here. But you got to have that willpower, that determination to keep doing it. So I just wanted to share that, so whoever watches my videos, understands a little bit more of my backstory, and honestly, there were times, when I became homeless. It wasn't like every time, I didn't do anything wrong. It was somebody else that, caused it. No. There were times, I may have just not known better, or I was in a bad mental state, and I just kind of said, fuck it, if it happens, it happens. It didn't happen that way this time, really. Yes, I played a part, but, I wasn't like being an asshole or anything, but, but there have been times that it has been my fault, and I have to accept that and, push on, learn from it. Not just push on, but learn from it and push on. And that's one of the biggest things about, especially if you've become homeless multiple times. You got to learn from it. You got to understand, okay, this is what caused me to be here. This is what, like, if you're wanting to get off the streets, obviously, if you don't want to get off the streets, you don't have, you don't generally do this. But, if you want to get off the streets, then you got to understand what caused you to be homeless, and then understand that you have to do something different. You have to change. You have to be better, and see where you made your mistakes. And it gets very humbling. It can, there's that part that it sucks, but you got to do it, because if you want to get off the streets, if you want to be there for that significant other, you have to take a hard look at yourself and face those demons. Even though it may not be fun, even though you may not want to do it, to have that better situation, you got to do it. So I guess I had some real talk, but so you gotta be able to love yourself and do that tough love with yourself too. So I guess that was some of the stuff that's on my mind. I want to give some of the backstory, and then share that tidbit, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, like, And the one thing I want to add is that, because a lot of perception of homelessness is, oh, they're just all drug addicts, and well, we all are not. A lot a lot of people, like at the shelter I stay with, are not drug addicts. It's just, having that self-love, that self-motivation, that self-respect, that self-everything to keep going and to keep loving yourself, to then get yourself in a better position. And then also, if there is a significant other involved, having the love for them to push yourself also. Whether it's, a form of disability that might make things difficult, whether it's mental or physical, you still just gotta push yourself and do what you gotta do. Like, but nobody as a kid goes, hey, I want to grow up and be homeless and a drug addict and all that. Like, nobody does that. And even when most people on the streets, like, if they're not already on drugs, they're like, no, I'm not going to touch drugs. But then the streets beat you down. Your self-worth beats you down. And then, you start losing love for yourself. And then you go, hey, this stuff sucks. This isn't fun. Like, and then you just go to it to try to cope and survive, in a sense, mentally, the stuff you deal with out here and what you see and experience. And then, usually nobody plans to be an addict, but then the drug ends up grabbing a hold of you, and then literally you have to, like, pry yourself from a lot of environments, people, all that, if you are serious on getting clean. So I guess that was my thoughts, and I wanted to share them. So I hope everyone has a good day, and we'll see you at the next video. Bye.